They'll blatantly cheat to it. They'll bowl underarm. They'll get a piece of sandpaper out and rub it on the ball if they have to. They'll say the worst, most nasty, distasteful things.
And that day in Adelaide, I almost felt like saying to him, do you need a hug? And I'm sure if I'd said that to him, the floodgates would have opened and he wouldn't have stopped crying. Batters worldwide have been hiding behind a curtain saying that the pitches are too difficult to bat on. The subset of that is that their batting techniques are very, very questionable.
DSPN, the Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
There is joy in losing in sport. I know that we always want to win. We want our teams to win. But there's the odd occasion when a team loses that the whole world celebrates as one. Of course, I'm talking about the World Test Championship of cricket. The bully boys of cricket, the Australians, so arrogant, so up themselves, got such an attitude. The mental disintegration, the sledging, they'll do anything to win. They'll blatantly cheat to it. They'll bowl underarm. They'll get a piece of sandpaper out and rub it on the ball if they have to. They'll say the worst, most nasty, distasteful things to you about you and your kin and your wife and your family and everything else. They don't care. If you hate them, they love the fact that we do. And so when they lose, we all celebrate. We laugh as one, as cricket fans all over the world. And we have to, because you know with them that they're not going to be down long. And when they lose, they are coming back, and it's going to be very soon, which is why we introduce our good mate Rahul Patil here, who was watching the World Test Championship Final from Lords. And like the rest of us, you're delighted that the chokers got up, that the Saffers won it.
I am delighted that they won, but I'm not delighted because Australia lost it. I'm just so happy for South Africa. I mean, going back in the years, you think about that 92 World Cup. Then you think about that Lance Klusener and Alan Donald in the 99 World Cup. Then you think about, Sean Pollock losing a game because they didn't get a single off a ball and then rain came and throws them out.
Well, was that the one in 03 where they miscalculated the run rate, where they got it wrong? They thought that they only needed a run, they needed two. Yeah, right, okay. Yeah.
That one. And then there have been so many instances of late, the Netherlands game in the T20 World Cup that they lost. And I'll tell you a great story about that one, Marty, because I was at that press conference that day after they lost the game. Temba Bavuma, captain, came in for the press conference, and I kid you not, he was next to tears.
This was the one-day World Cup, wasn't it?
T20 World Cup.
T20 World Cup, okay.
Yeah.
And then they lose the final to India in the West Indies when they had it absolutely won.
Yeah.
And this tag was just on it. It was around their necks, wasn't it? And he did say this after the World Test Championship final. He said that, we talked about it that night. I think one of the batsmen, was it Markram, took a couple of Valium that night to try and get to sleep, and that didn't work. So, okay, there's two parts to this. Let's concentrate on South Africa to start with, though, because after the first 2 days of that final, 14 wickets falling on both days, and you and me are corresponding, and I'm sitting here getting wild about this, going, this is meant to be the World Championship of Test cricket. Why can't anyone bat these days? Why can't anyone leave a ball? Why does everyone actually think they have to hit the leather off everything to the fence? And some of the best batsmen in the world, but it turned around. And a 282 target was a good target. I thought that Australia set South Africa in the end. So they had to chase that down.
Yeah, look, for a long time now I've been saying this, that batters worldwide have been hiding behind a curtain saying that the pitches are too difficult to bat on. But the subset of that is that their batting techniques are very, very questionable. Everyone wants to feel bat on ball. And that's the effect of the white ball game, where a dot ball is next to a criminal offence.
You're not allowed one.
Exactly. So you want to feel bat on ball, and it carries on to that. Now, preceding this World Test Championship final, and I've got a big issue with the timing of it, because every cricketer in the world's playing in the IPL.
Yeah, good point.
11 of the 22 who played in the World Test Championship final came straight from the IPL to play a test match.
Right.
And as much as you try to, adapt yourself to the red ball game, it takes a little bit of time. But sport, the beautiful life lesson that it always gives us is that if you hang in there, just hang in there when things aren't going your way and you're down in the dumps, just hang in there and the tide will turn. And that tide actually turned on day 3 when the sun came out gloriously. It became into a good batting wicket. And that's when you saw the South Africans really chasing down that 282.
They had to apply themselves, and that comes from two things. That comes from partnerships, and it comes from somebody getting a big score. Now, 282 means you can get away with not getting a big score, but they actually had both. And so that, to me, made it a game of test cricket. If it had just been chasing down 200 and they got their 7 or 8 wickets down, I would have looked at the whole thing after 3.5 days going, well, is that the advertisement that the world wants for test cricket? Not so. But we did start to see real elements of real test cricket, right?
Absolutely. And full marks to two people. Aiden Markram, he was batting like a Brahmin in meditation, or like a Buddhist monk who's, sitting and doing meditation. Every single ball was so focused. Even when he got to 100, you didn't see the big celebration, throwing the bat in the air, because he knew the job wasn't done. And he knew he had to come back the next day and he had to carry on and take them home. So that kind of dedication and discipline that he showed was phenomenal. Chanceless innings. In this day and age, you don't see a chanceless innings of 130 odd. And Temba Bavuma, I've already spoken about him. And that day in Adelaide, I almost felt like saying to him, do you need a hug? And I'm sure if I'd said that to him, the floodgates would have opened and he wouldn't have stopped crying. Losing means so much to that man. And look, everything that goes on in South African cricket, he is the first black man to lead them not only to World Cup glory, but their best ever performance, at an ICC tournament. So it means so much to him. And I'm so happy. Couldn't have happened to a better man. 3 years back, he was on the verge of tears. 3 years later, he's lifting up the World Test Championship mace. Fairytale ending for him. So really happy for Temba Bavuma.
And for South African sport as well. They hold 2 trophies at the moment, which for those of us who love cricket, who love rugby, and you're talking about all the colonised countries, of course. I mean, these are 2 major trophies, the World Test Championship, the World Cup of Rugby. They've got both in their trophy cabinet at the moment. All right. Were they the 2 best teams in the world, ultimately? Because there's been a lot of talk about, is this the right format to actually reach that point where these 2 teams play off, and should it be more than just one test match? Again, where do you squeeze that into the calendar? But I would have liked to have seen, as soon as that one ended, I wanted to see these guys go again in 5 days' time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've long said that it should be a best of 3 final. Then you get the real cream winning. But were they the best 2 teams? Look, it's not a perfect format, but it at least some semblance of a format. And who can say that South Africa didn't deserve to be there? Because you can only play with the cards that you're dealt. And they won 8 in a row to get there.
Yeah, good point.
That's not a bad effort at all. And look, they also forgave 2 test matches against New Zealand, remember, when they sent a C team here. Mm-hmm. So they shot themselves in the foot and set themselves an impossible target to get there. They made it. And guess what? They even beat Australians, who are really, really difficult to beat in finals, as we all know.
And that's the thing. And that's why I say it's joyous, because, when it comes to all formats of cricket, if Australia are in the semis or Australia in the final, it's almost like you just give up at that stage. And I wonder where the players in other countries do. They go, oh God, here they are. And it was like when our women, the White Ferns, won the T20 World Cup last year. Well, the huge, big, shiny thing that everyone was looking at was the fact that it wasn't there, was it? Australia, we weren't playing Australia. We'd lost to Australia and we didn't actually get to play them when it came down to the business end of the tournament.
Absolutely right. And there's a reason. I think there is a chink in that armor now. That great Australian team, even in that series against India, I said at the end of that series, Australia played the better cricket, deserved to win. But India, they had only one man in their bowling attack. If they had some support for Jasprit Bumrah and scored a few more runs, it could have been a completely different series. And, Usman Khawaja is 38 now. Manus Labuschagne hasn't got runs in a long, long time. Steven Smith is around 35, 36. You've got the fast bowlers who are all in their 30s. Nathan Lyon is 38. So they are an aging team. And there's not a whole lot coming through in their system, wherein, back in the day, you'd have an entire 11 of Australians ready to take on the field if the first 11 wasn't available, and they would still be the best in the world. That's how good they were. That now India can boast of such strength, but Australia can't. And it's going to be very interesting. You've got the Ashes coming up at the end of this year. And tell you what, English journalists apparently in that press box were silently quite happy because of the fact that Australia wasn't doing well, because they saw chinks in that armor and thought, hang on, Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum will be watching this very, very closely to make their plans for the Ashes.
Leave us a comment section below. Did you love the fact that South Africa won? Do you like the fact that they got the monkey off the back? That there goes the choker hold. They can't. I mean, you can accuse them that in white ball cricket. You can't accuse them that in red ball cricket. And also, as Rahul says, what does this now mean for the Ashes series at the end of the year? And just it adds another little piece to that, doesn't it? Eh? All of a sudden you think, have they got one more series in them, these Aussie guys? Because most of them will probably retire after that. They won't be around for the next cycle of the World Test Championship. We know that.
Yeah, and look, they've got a tour of the West Indies coming up. They played 2 test
that
matches
looks good
there.
too. I've been seeing the adverts on that. I'm looking forward to that because the last time, remember, that third test, who was it that scored?
Shamar Joseph got the wickets.
There he did. Shamar Joseph got the wickets. That's right. Yeah. And he had his toe poking through the end of his shoe or something. He had broken his toe or something like that, wasn't it? That was one of the best days of Test cricket we've had in the last few years.
Absolutely. And it's interesting you bring that up because this was the same feeling I got when I was watching South Africa win this test. You know, at the end of that West Indies test, you had Brian Lara on commentary and he had tears in his eyes. You had Carl Hooper doing radio commentary and he was bawling his eyes out. You had a neutral test being played at Lords, South Africa, Australia, playing in a third country, and the stadium was full of South Africans, full of Australians, and the South Africans were absolutely having a party over there, and singing songs, and I don't know, the celebrations continued long after the game finished. What a beautiful way, we keep saying this a lot of times and we try and convert a lot of young people to love Test cricket, but this is the reason why you love this game so much, is go watch a Test match, and at the end of the day, if it turns out to be a dull, boring draw, that is just life. But more often than not, you'll get some fantastic cricket over the course of 5 days in a Test match game.
This is the DSPN.